So hi Max, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm not too bad at all. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. Now, before we delve into everything that's been going on lately, I'd like to go back to that time, the lead up to schizophrenia. What do you remember most of that time? You just released Morbid Visions, you had that album out. You were around 17, 18. What was the mindset? What was the dream? What was the ambition?
Yeah, I think we were very happy with the everything that Morbid Visions achieved, and we had like really high hopes for Schizophrenia because the label Cogumelo was very backing this record. We are
Mm,
going to have this really good production, double sleeve, and it was gonna be like the one of the main releases of that label. And so we start writing for right away, and we wrote a lot of it with Gyro, actually, with
okay.
the guitar player. A lot of stuff like Scream Behind the Shadows, Septischizo, From the Past Comes the Storms, Rest in Pain was all done with Gyro, and but then Gyro ended up leaving in the middle of it. Um, and then we finish everything else with Andres. I think it's a really cool record because it's an album that embrace new
Mm,
attitude, in terms of sound. We It's still very aggressive, and it comes from the passion of black metal and death metal, but also with some brand new thrash metal hardcore influences. So I think it's the real birth of death thrash. It's
mm.
schizophrenia.
And well,
You
for
know?
you then, why do you think that time was so right for trying to experiment and trying to expand the sound that you had? Was that very conscious, or was that just based on what you were listening to? How did that kind of experimentation come into the band?
Yeah, it's based on what we listen to because I think we didn't want to be strictly death metal because we like other stuff.
Sure.
Especially in terms of the riffs. We wanted the riffs to be a combination of uh, death, black, and thrash. Like a lot of the cool technical thrash riffs are just amazing. Like
Mm,
it takes a lot of uh, ability to do the triplets, the down picking, the energy of the fast songs. And but we also didn't want to be a trash band
mm,
because we thought that's not really us because we also have this dark side. So I think to me it was the obvious choice of putting those two together. And I think at that time there was no such thing as death trash yet.
mm.
And so I think in a way I think Schizophrenia is a pioneer kind of record. And then of course after that you have many other doing Pestilence, and um Sacrifice, many other bands doing that. But at that time, I think when Schizophrenia came out, it was very, very early. And I love the fact that is this combination that I'm still today, I still love this death thrash idea because I think
Mm.
it's brilliant because it's the best of death metal and best of thrash together. You have this really powerful combination of sounds.
Yeah, definitely. And what I find interesting, I don't know, what was the metal landscape at that point, but particularly in Brazil, but from your perspective, more or less, it can be international as well. But what was the scene like at that time? Was there, like you said, you were kind of pioneers, so was there a lot of other bands trying out stuff, or how do you see that kind of development of the metal music at that time?
Yeah, we had a big scene in Belo, our city. We had many bands: Mutilator, Sarcófago, Chacal, Holocausto, um, and then we also have but bands from other places in Brazil, Dorsal Atlântica, Corzos, Vulcano. So the Brazilian scene was good, man. It was on fire, and I was tape trading with other bands like Def. You
Mm,
know, I was really good tape trading with Chuck, and also with Trey from Morbid Angel, and the guys from Dark Angel,
mm.
and even Euronymous. I was a tape trading with him as well. So we had this tape trading connection, and really part of the underground. Like it was an exciting time, and I think like when we finally made Schizophrenia and we listened to it, I think it was kind of one of those moments of very you're proud of the work,
Mhm.
because I think the record, even though it doesn't sound great because it was done in Brazilian studios with shitty gear, uh, the songs are really good. I think the very powerful songs, um, and it's kind of a gateway record. To me, Schizophrenia is the album that opened the door for us to be able to do something like Beneath the Remains.
Sure.
Uh, you can't go from Morbid Visions to Beneath the Remains. You need a Schizophrenia in the middle. It's like the kind of like we are learning to play with this idea of structure songs and mixing the death metal with the thrash in the best way possible. But yeah, I think it was a exciting time, exciting record, and I'm always gonna be grateful to Schizophrenia because it's the record that got us finally signed with the Roadrunner.
Yeah, well, that was where I wanted to go to because I don't know how you made it work on the internet. It says you kind of went over to America and tried to kind of get people to play the record, but the fact that that it became international, what did that mean to the band at that point? Because you were still really young, like 18, 19, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, we had you have to take chances. You have to really, that's the thing about chasing dreams, and a lot of people don't know about this, but it's the sacrifices you have to make. And some bands they think that everything's supposed to just come to you easy and free, but it's not. It's you have to sacrifice. And for me, it was one of those things when I went to America with a bunch of copies of Schizophrenia, and I went as a employee of Pan Am Airlines, and I had to wear a tie and
Yeah.
my hair pulled back. Those are really things that I could easily say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna wait, stay in Brazil and wait for somebody to sign us. Or I told the guys, fuck that. I'm going. It's a chance. It's the one shot we got. Let's make it happen. And that's the kind of enthusiasm that you need to make shit happen, man. And I not I'm forever appreciative of this trip.
Mhm.
It
Sure.
was it was kind of I don't know, it was kind of a bootleg kind of trip. It was like a free ticket, and I was only there for 2 days, but the fruits of it are amazing. What we got from that
Sure.
alone. It's something that I try to inspire that into my kids and tell them this is what it's required to be
Mm,
successful. You have to, you know, you have to really want something bad and make something happen. Don't wait for things to happen. You have to make them happen yourself. So yeah, that's what I like about that story. That it's really inspiring for any musician around the
yeah.
world. It's an inspiring story, to follow your dreams.
Yeah, to take a chance on yourself and go for it. But Where do you think that mentality comes from then? Because not everybody has that. And I think even if I see clips of you playing today and you still have that kind of urgency or passion, it seems.
Yeah, I mean that's like to me is a it's a never ending feeling that I have that I get from metal, and it's the kind of thing like never be entirely satisfied with what you have.
Mm,
Always wanted to put yourself out there to create uh, special stuff, and I think sometimes being uncomfortable is sometimes the best key, that it's the key for some of the best works.
sure.
I don't know, I think if I'm being honest, I think the two records that were the hardest records I ever made was Beneath the Remains and Soulfly 1.
Mm,
And they are very similar, not musically, they are not similar, but in attitude, they are very similar because it's this desperate place where you have to make something really good because this is your chance. And if you make something shitty, you're gonna lose the chance. Uh, so it's a huge pressure, man. It's a crazy amount of pressure.
mm,
Uh, but also, that pressure also makes you do something good, man. Gets it, something good comes out of you on those moments. And I think to me, these two records are equally important and exciting because of that, because of the situation that I found myself in.
sure.
And not to put the other albums down, because I think all the other records are also great in their own way. And to me, even the stuff I'm doing now, regardless of whatever people think, I put my heart and soul on every record that I get my hands on it. And it's like to me it's just something that's inside of me that I'm always searching for a better song, a better riff, a,
Mm.
a better vocal uh part. um and I enjoy doing it, man. It's really cool. Like the struggle is like the fun. If you're not struggling, then you're not having any fun.
And it's like you said, you don't want things to come too easy. If it's just handed to you, you probably won't appreciate it. So,
Yeah, if you become too comfortable, and that's why I did Go Ahead and Die was the best example. I was getting a little bit comfortable. you know Soulfly is playing all these big places. Killer BQ is playing big places, and I said to myself, let's go back to the shitholes and let's go, you know let's connect with the underground again, and see what. And that, to me, I think sometimes that's crazy at my age to be doing that. That's nuts. I think a lot of other musicians would probably say, fuck that, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not jumping back on those stages with no barricades, and the crazy shows that, kind of like almost like dangerous kind of shows,
mm.
but I had so much fun on the Go Ahead and Die tour, man. I was like a little kid again, and it was great.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And I have one question about Go Ahead and Die because I spoke to your son Igor about that album, the latest, well, both albums actually. And one thing especially with the second one, what was it like for you to see him become more confident as a musician and to take a little bit more ownership over the music and that kind of stuff? And even just because last time we spoke to you, we were talking really nice about what it's like to play with your brother. What is it like to play with your son and to see him grow as a musician?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's great. And I think, to me, what Igor did with Unhealthy Mechanism was nothing short of amazing. Wrote a lot of it. Had came up with the concept of the whole record about mental health,
Mm,
and came up with the idea of doing a song about dirty cops, end up being drug cop. And I'm just so proud, man. I'm so proud of the kid. And, you know, like a lot of times I look at him uh struggling with the guitar and trying to come up with a riff, and reminds me of me, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, that's me, you know, 30 years ago, man. That's crazy. Uh, so much resemblance of
Okay.
that of that, you know, just that drive to. And it's cool making a record with him because he's not a yes man, you know. Like he told me no a bunch of times, and you know, for a lot of people they'll be like, yeah, you don't tell Max no, you know. Like a lot of people be like, yeah, whatever shitty the idea is, oh yeah, sure, let's do that. uh and Igor was not like no, no, that's a bad idea. And that's cool because that creates not friction, but a little bit of uncomfortable
Mm,
situation. Okay, you don't like this, all right, like what can you replace this with that's better than, you know, or whatever. um so I think by doing that we both learn a lot from the process. um but yeah, I love the record. I think it's very primal, you
mm,
know. It's very almost like a desperate sounding kind of record, especially with the vocals. The vocals are just on the edge of frantic, you know, like
mm.
frantic kind of vocals. Um, and I love that because that's like a real feeling that the music is giving you, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I like what you said about kind of struggling with the instrument or trying to figure out the instrument, because if we go back to Schizophrenia, then Morbid Visions was obviously, you were very young. It was very primitive, still raw. It was very raw. How do you look back at kind of your skills during Schizophrenia? Your skills as a vocalist, your skills as a guitar player. How do you see that at that time? What is it, 1987, I think?
Yeah, I don't know. I love the vocals on Schizophrenia. For some reason, there's a little bit of distortion. And I don't know how we end up managing to do that, but there are some really amazing uh, vocal tracks on the original that I was really struggling to remake them on this
Okay.
new version. I think I did okay. You know, I think it sounds, my voice is different now. It's 30 years later, but I think it sounds pretty fucking good right now. But as far as the riffs, I was learning, especially me and Gyro, we were learning Merciful Fate riffs and intricate kind of stuff, you know, like to so we can write more intricate riffs. And that's
Mm,
like the riffs of Scream Behind the Shadows is one of the riffs. Septischizo, which is almost kind of like Exodus Bonded by Blood influence kind of riff. And then you have other stuff like uh From the Past Comes the Storm, the triplet, you know, that's kind of like, to me the song is our own interpretation of chemical warfare, you know. It's like it's our chemical warfare, um which very powerful, just a hit in the face. um yeah, I think I grew a lot as a guitar player from Morbid Visions to Schizophrenia, and then from Schizophrenia from to Beneath the Remains, also another big jump. I was learning maybe a little bit more simpler riffs, like Inner Self, you know, like a rock. It's more like a rock riff,
mm.
but it really works when you put it like that. And yeah, I think it's just it's a process of always getting a little bit better every time around. And I still today are finding new ways of making riffs and using the guitar in the best way I can with four strings. And I don't know. I love riffing. I love riffs. I spend hours and hours at home just making riffs sometimes, and I know I'm gonna use them somewhere. You know, even
Mm.
when I don't have to make an album, I just like to record them. And there's something about making riffs that is really like an art form, you know.
Sure.
It's like to me feels like a painting, you know. It's like when you're painting, you're relaxing, and when I'm making riffs, to me is also real relaxing. But
Like meditation almost.
yeah, really, because hours go by and I'm still in the same riff idea. And I mean, there's been a couple times where I got really frustrated with the riff. I think one of the main ones was "Jump the Fuck Up." The main riff, I couldn't get it right, and I struggled for like 4 hours. And I finally grabbed the guitar and smashed it, you know, out of frustration. Um, and I went and took a walk in the canyon, and I came back and fucking got another guitar, and the riff came out, you know. So I had to destroy something to create something, you know.
No, but
Not not that you have to do that. People don't do that.
well, you have to have a big guitar collection if you want to do that. So
Yeah. But or destroy a cheap guitar. There you go.
yeah, exactly. But that's an interesting thing because one of the things I always find interesting is hearing from the artist's perspective what in their minds is kind of an appreciated song or something that, and it can be from Schizophrenia, but if something else pops into your mind, that's fine as well. But do you have a song where you think, well, I don't get why people didn't like it more or why it didn't take off?
There's a couple songs like that. I think there's a Soulfly song that I thought was gonna be real big. Um, it was called Bleak, and I think it's Dark Ages. Um, and it has this really. I remember when I wrote the riff, I thought, "Oh, this is one of my best riffs, man. This is a great riff, you know." And I love the riff, and but the song never got big. You know, people don't even talk about this song at all. Like, I think there's a couple of those in Sepultura, but it's a bit different. In Sepultura, there are songs that I never think they were. I thought they could be better. I think there's
Mhm.
a song called "Hungry" that I personally I'm not a big fan of it.
Okay.
I don't really care for it too much. You know, it couldn't be a lot better.
No, but that's what a hindsight does as well. And then the kind of finally then, so with Schizophrenia, reworking or just re-recording all these songs, uh, was there a temptation to really take some freedom and go in different directions with the songs, or what was the mentality in kind of trying to recreate the songs as best you could for the technology and the audience today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we play a little bit faster, so they have like a live feeling to it. So
Sure.
it's almost like a live band playing. Um, because I was watching some old videos, and I was watching one from Mexico where we played to the wall, and we played to the wall really fast in this video, and it's really cool because it's high energy. So I think we re-recorded. We found a time between a tempo between the album and the
Mm.
live that is faster than the album, but not too fast that you ruin the heavy parts. Because that's another thing you gotta worry. Sometimes when you play too fast, the heavy parts lose the heaviness, and you gotta stay. The heavy parts gotta stay heavy, you know. But no, I think we stay pretty close to the original because I think the original was already good, you know.
Mhm.
So there was not we didn't took any liberties in changing riffs. Like there was no, it was not necessary to change riffs.
Oh, that's good to hear. And kind of to round off, because well, these were the kind of initial albums. That's when the four kind of really big albums came after, I suppose, at least commercially. Um, are you planning on doing anything with those four albums that you made after, or what are your thoughts on kind of reworking maybe Beneath the Remains or something like that? re-recording, sorry.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think like right now I'm very happy with what we have. These three records were the ones that we are
Hmm.
most unhappy with. Um, even though sometimes I there's the temptation. Sometimes I do listen to Beneath the Remains and just wonder how it would sound with the even better production because it's such an amazing record.
Sure.
Um, Same with Arise, but I don't know. That's treading on almost like sacred
Well,
territory.
exactly, because that was one of those things for some, and that's sorry, and I'm sure you have another interview, so this will be the end. But for so many people, those early records even were kind of what they grew up on. It's what made them interested in metal. So were you even with those first two records, were you hesitant? Like, okay, we are touching something that for some people it's kind of in their brains. It's written in their brains how those songs go.
No, I think with Morbid Visions and Bachelor of Schizophrenia, it was like to me it was almost like necessary, almost like an exorcism, Like we need to do this because those are great songs and they sound like shit because of the way we record them. And we wanted to show them to the world the way we envision them to sound. And that's the re-recordings, is the way they are to sound. This is how we envision them in the beginning. So no, it never crossed my mind. I think I think you got too much fear of failure. If you become too scared to touch something, like don't even touch it. Like I think
Mm.
we blocked that out and just went for it. We kept it everything raw and brutal like the originals. So I think that's the key for the successful of the recordings. Kept everything brutal.
Yeah, and from what I've seen so far, the reaction both to Morbid Visions and now Schizophrenia from what people have heard is already really, really positive, and people really like it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it should be really good. We I love those records. I just think it's show them the way they should sound to the fans, the real sound.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like a love letter to the fans. But Max, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. Yeah, best of luck with everything.
All right, man. Take care, right?
All right, have a good one.